If you are feeling overwhelmed by life, feeling like you should care, but you really don't, or maybe even your Sunday scaries on a scale of 1 to 10, they're at a 100. If that's you, in this video, I'm sharing just 3 tips to help give you a little bit of relief and to help you put your oxygen mask on first. My name is Kia Myers-Dugan. I am a recognized coach and speaker, and I focus on helping professionals overcome fear in order to make a career pivot. I've taught hundreds of driven professionals globally to help them manage their fears so they can stop doing things and working jobs they hate. So, what is burnout? This is a term that gets tossed around a lot, especially lately, but at its very core, burnout is the state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. Now, there are a number of signs that might indicate that you have burnout, but just a few of those signs include having a hard time completing really basic tasks like making your to-do list or just sending a couple of emails. That's hard. You are experiencing body aches, so back aches, neck ache, constant headaches. Other signs might include insomnia, or maybe you are having deep bone-crushing exhaustion to the point where even if you sleep 7 to 8 hours, you still wake up feeling like you didn't sleep at all. Or you might just be really easily irritated or angered, more so than normal. So if you're experiencing those things, you may be experiencing burnout. Now, there are so many levels to burnout and its causes and how you support yourself. But here are 3 ways, 3 steps, 3 tips that I want to share with you in order to help you get a little bit of relief, a little bit of space to breathe on this. The first is, and this is probably going to sound, like woo-woo, but the first is to prioritize self-care. Now, often people think self-care is something that has to be multiple hours and that it consists of you being at the spa and, taking sitting in the sauna and taking a steam. No, there are so many ways to care for and prioritize yourself in that way. Self-care can look like ordering dinner instead of cooking dinner and having to clean up afterwards. It could mean getting takeout. Self-care could mean when you're standing at the microwave heating up a meal that you stack the idea of breathing in for 5 seconds, holding your breath for 5 seconds, and exhaling for 5 seconds, and then holding again for 5 seconds. That's called box breathing. You can do that in just a few moments. But prioritizing self-care is really vitally important, because if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not showing up as your best optimal self, or at least a little bit of a more relaxed version of yourself, you're not going to be good for anyone else. So self-care is not selfish. It's actually the most selfless thing that you can do. Number 2, check in with yourself. So the best analogy that I can share for this is when you go to the doctor. If you go to your doctor's appointment and you just say, I don't feel good. And the doctor says, well, what doesn't feel good? Like what hurts? What are your symptoms? And if you just say, I don't know, I just don't feel good. I know I don't feel good. I know something's off. If you can't be specific, if you can't name the pain, then you can't identify solutions to help yourself. Same at the doctor. If you are just telling the doctor that you don't feel good, that doctor can't prescribe a course of treatment, medication, tests. in order to identify what's going on. So for you, take a moment and check in, which looks like asking yourself, what has me feeling stressed out right now? Why do I feel overwhelmed? Like, what was the thing that happened just before I felt overwhelmed or stressed out? What has me feeling really angry right now? That's checking in, but you have to be able to name it before you can deal with it and move forward. The third tip for helping you put your oxygen mask on first is control the controllables. There really are not a lot of things that are within our control, especially lately. But the things that we can control are our actions. We can control our response to things, and we can control our thoughts. We can control the way that we view what's happening. So when you feel yourself getting worked up about something, identify what it is that you can do in that moment that you have control over. You probably don't have agency over what the trigger was, but you can certainly shift your perspective to have compassion for that person or for yourself. You can count to 10. There are a lot of things that surprisingly we can control in that moment, but you've got to stop before you do something about it. So let's quickly recap those 3 steps. The first is prioritize your self-care. It doesn't have to be multiple hours of meditation and, massages. It can be 5 minutes of deep, conscious, intentional breathing. Number 2, check in with yourself. Ask yourself, when you feel yourself getting really worked up, ask yourself what's going on. Name it specifically. And number 3, control the controllables. Can you control your perspective? Can you control your words? Can you control your actions? And the answer is yes. Well, that's it. I hope this was helpful for you in some way, shape, or form to provide some level of relief. For a few additional resources, check the resources in the notes of this video. I'm sharing a link and a few other thoughts for you. Last but not least, please subscribe. I launch new videos every week on Wednesdays. Like and share. So until the next time, take good care of yourself.